So Steve Biddulph is saying that our minds have got two parts. One part that analyzes and plans and tries to avoid danger, and another part that just responds to difficulty, that feels the difficulty and then continues on like an animal does. It seems that as we've become more urbanized and more technologically sophisticated, we've become more at home in the analytical part of our mind and less in touch with the instinctive feeling part that's connected with the rest of our bodies. Steve Biddulph is suggesting that the animals might be able to help us get in touch with what we're feeling. And he suggests that we can be more aware by just paying attention to the physical feelings in our bodies, because our emotions actually appear to us as physical feelings. I want to invite you to take a moment just to listen to your body. You might find it helpful to close your eyes or to at least soften your gaze. I find that often helps with my concentration. But I want to invite you to pay attention to the thoughts that are on your mind. And notice the feelings that are sitting on your heart. Pay attention to the pace of your heart, whether it's beating rapidly, or whether it's just going along calmly. And also pay attention to your breath as it comes and goes, animating your body. Again, notice the pace. Notice whether you're breathing rapidly or whether it's at a regular pace or whether it's slow and deep. Now take some time to just pay attention to the whole of your body. Notice any feelings, maybe obvious ones like the pressure of your weight weighing down on the ground in your bottom or your feet or your back. But also notice if there's any unusual sensations that you don't normally notice, like a tingling or a pain or a bubbling or a twinge. There's all these feelings that are going on in our bodies that we often don't notice. If you notice some kind of feeling that's calling for your attention, just take a moment to pay attention to it and see how that attention impacts the feeling. Does it stay the same? Does it stay at all? Does it change? Lastly, I want to encourage you to think of somebody who's close to you. If it's hard to think of somebody that you know in person, it's okay to think of somebody like Jesus or the Buddha or whoever it might be that's important to you. Just think of them and picture them. And notice if anything happens in your body when you think of that person. The tradition that I come from hasn't always prioritized this, but one of the things that my tradition has said is that we human beings are all created in the image of the divine and that we've been made good. All of these parts of ourselves, our mind and our heart and our breath and our body and our connections to others, they're all part of the good world that God's created. That's what my tradition says. I hope we can learn to pay attention to what our bodies are telling us. I wonder if attention to the other wild creatures that we share the world with might help us with that as well. I've mentioned this in another video, but we might find that there's particular feelings that are hard for us to get in touch with, whether it's grief or loneliness or joy or love. There might be animals that we can imagine are able to experience those feelings easily. I was really moved by hearing about the way that elephants appear to grieve. When an elephant has died, often other elephants that knew that elephant have been observed going to the place where that elephant died together and just standing around together around the remains. And people have noticed what appear to be tears coming from the glands behind their eyes, and they've seen them using their trunks to caress the bones and the other remains that are there. It seems as though they're experiencing something like what we call grief, the pain of losing somebody. I wonder if it's hard for us to get in touch with grief, whether we might be able to imagine being like an elephant that just knows instinctively how to grieve for one of its loved ones. I wonder if there are other animals that we might be able to relate to that are able to get in touch with some of these elusive emotions.